two players in tier number 1, immediate impact. We'll start with your number 1 edge in the 2024 draft class. That player is
Dallas Turner, Alabama. I don't think that's going to surprise anybody. I mean, I think everybody's got Dallas Turner probably in their top 2 pass rushers, right?
I mean, we've heard him number 8 to Atlanta like forever now.
It makes sense. I mean, it does. They need that position. He's that type of guy, that type of talent, right? And potential to be had that's still not there yet. A player that I think is growing and that I like, right? He's not like matured and well schooled and, detailed on every little thing. He's still a little raw. But like we talk about the first round and especially this position, what's important? Elite traits. And this guy is elite traits galore. I mean, that's the biggest thing. His speed, elite trait. His bend, elite trait. His length, elite trait. His strength for his size at 247 is elite, okay? So that's where it's really impressive. And the guy, he does it easy a little bit, a little too easy at times, where you're going like, wait, is he really running that fast? Like, it just didn't look like, oh, well, I mean, everybody else on the D-line is a yard and a half behind him, right? You look and you go, wait, that other guy looked like he got a good jump over there on the other. Chris Broswell, I like him. And then you look and you go, well, Dallas Turner's a yard and a half in front of him and didn't look fast because he's so freaky athletic and he's a little bit of a long strider and he's long in general, right? He's very high cut, right? He's one of those where you either have to have a trained eye or you got to watch him run down a few people a few times and then you start to go, oh, wait, that was a running back who ran to the other side of the field and he caught him from behind and made it easy, right? And it didn't look like he was trying that hard, but then you start to watch and you go, holy shit, he's covering like 4 yards per stride. I mean, so that's where he's special. But his bend around the edge is special. His first step, the amount of ground he can cover around the edge is special. And then I think when you couple that too with the arm length and the strength he has in the upper body, right? He really only has like 2 pass rush moves. It's go around the edge with my speed and my bend, or I just basically run into you and try to power rush you. That's what he does. He's still a novice with hand use. You don't see spin moves, right? You don't see a lot of like, oh, I'm going to shake you and then try to get on the edge and do all that.
He does a little of the fake outside go inside move.
Exactly right. He'll go exactly right. The jab step, the stab step, right? Threatens you upfield, puts his foot in the ground and kind of comes around and goes that way, right? Excuse me. But that's where, again, there's aspects of that I really like because I know those are things he's going to get the NFL with the guys in the locker room and other defense ends. They're going to teach him hand fighting, how to do that. Hey, do a spin move. You, with as fast as you can go upfield and your long arms, your spin move, you're going to get on the edge. So there's some things there that I love in the rawness of the football player, right? Speed to power is real. The ability to get low is special. Right? There's few guys like that can get as low as he can with that shoulder from the ground and the legs outside the framework of the body, and he can still run around the edge at close to top speed doing it.
Yeah.
To me is rare. You don't see it a lot.
So you like the fact that he has still room to grow. He has technique work to do, and he understands that as well. He had that in the conversation with you and Mike Florio at the Combine talking about what he still needs to work on. We have that soundbite from back then.
Probably tightening up on my technique a lot more, and like my hands and striking in the run fit. And, just hand placement in general and pass rush too. But you're going against guys like Trent Williams now in the NFL and,
he's gonna be on
Dawkins and like just a whole bunch of grown men that's been there, done that. So like, you gotta be on your best game. You can't be the same player you was in college. You gotta elevate, of course. Yeah. So, it's just like a different type of talent level in the NFL that, some of the stuff that you did in college you might get away with, but you can't get away with it in the NFL.
An unnamed NFL executive says he is such a talented athlete. One of the biggest mistakes people make is looking past athletic ability and focusing too much on technique or polish when they come out.
You go.
Just look for dudes and coach the rest of it.
Like we started the conversation up. The guys we're talking about that are the top pass rushers in football, they're dudes. They're dudes. They're guys that, again, in the locker room, it's just like he's the biggest, fastest mother on the locker room. We don't want to mess with him, right? That's what that guy is. Don't always look at it and go like, "Whoa, he doesn't put good hand placement here," or sometimes he takes the wrong gap in his run. Like again, those are coachable things. This is a position of raw ability freakiness, right? And that's where he's got it. I mean, again, it's an easy 247. Like you saw him there. It's broad shoulders, it's long arms. When you see him in person, it just screams athlete. I did not need to see Dallas Turner and somebody tell me, "Oh, he's a special athlete." He's one of those guys that's kind of rare where you see him and you go, I've never seen too many people built like that. That square of shoulders, that big and long and strong of arms, a neck like that. And wait, your waist is that skinny? That's crazy. And then your ass and thighs are that big again? How does that work like that? He screams that. And then you see his calf muscles, right? And the length of, the knee to the ankle and those things. Again, other things you see from great pass rushers or specimens in the past, it just screams all of that, right? So that's where it's great. And
here's his measurables. We got the octagon, which is not as good as a nonagon,
right,
or a decagon, but I'm still glad that he did the octagon because he didn't have to do this at all. You talked about that in your conversation with him, like, why are you doing that? And he's like, because I think I can go out there and dominate, and that's exactly what he did. Height and weight on the lower end for a prospect here, but all of the athletic traits, broad jump, vertical jump, 40-yard dash, were off the charts, 98th percentile.
Off the charts, right? That's the big thing, and the weight, again, I don't think it'll ever be much different. I bet you in 2-3 years he'll be a more jacked, efficient 255 or 256 as he gets older and gets in the NFL life. But the wingspan of 83, right? 446 at 247, the vertical jump, it all speaks to the explosion, and it's easy like we talked about. The strength is, I think, again, the ability to set the edge in the run game. Right. The one thing I kept looking at is okay, he handles his own against tight ends. Like tight ends have no chance against him. That's great. Wait, is he going to be able to? Can he man up against a tackle all the time? Can he do that? Well, definitely can. No doubt about it. He's got no problem in those areas. Right. He again, like Will Anderson. He was not always given the green light to pass rush. He's got a lot of games where you go the majority of the snaps, he's barely on the outside edge of the tackle, and they ask him to grab the tackle and read the play. And then, it's a pass. Now you got to rush the passer, right? So that's not conducive to what he's going to be asked to do on a regular basis.
Those are the times where you look at the tape, as I do now, as an amateur film scouter, and you go, he got locked up by the tackle. But that's what he's being asked to do in those situations. He's being asked to do,
exactly right. And that's where, there's... That's the Nick Saban defense, and maybe that's not what I didn't take into account enough with Will Anderson. But with all that stuff, too, he's phenomenal at it. I mean, how many times do you just see him do this, and he holds the guy there, and they can't move him? And you're like, wow, this guy's 320 in front of him, and they're running right at Dallas Turner, and they're not moving him. Like, Dallas Turner's there. He's going to disengage and try to get off and get an arm on the tackle, right? Or, how many times I saw him just do the Khalil Mack inside stab where, he's running the speed pass rush, and then he takes that inside arm and hits people there that way, like that version of the bull rush or whatever. I mean, that to me is special, the way he does that, right? And, yes, he, to me, is a guy that's going to thrive even more in the NFL, like his old teammate Will Anderson, right? Where he just gets to a football team, they go get wide and rush the passer 85% of the game. And that's all he's going to have to worry about. And, in Alabama, hey, they're worried about running quarterbacks, and there's more different styles of offenses and things like that. A lot of the times he just wasn't given like I said, the green light to just go attack.
So I went back and I watched the Rose Bowl, and I watched every play that he had in the Rose Bowl against the University of Michigan. I thought the Michigan offensive line, which was one of the best in college football last year, of course, handled him pretty well. There wasn't a ton of plays that he made. He got locked up on that game-winning overtime touchdown by Colson Loveland, tight ends. I was like, that's not great. They did run away from him quite a bit, so I do think they were trying to avoid him. But he had very little effect as a physical force in that Michigan game, so I'm like, all right, that wasn't what I expected. 1987 HLW says, is Dallas Turner your Will Anderson this year? From the bits I've watched so far, I don't get the hype. Nothing amazes me with him, especially against the good tackles. So how do you balance those two things? It's like the Rose Bowl. It's like, all right, I didn't even know he was out there that much. And then you got a guy like 1987 HLW coming at you with like he didn't see it either.
Yeah. Listen, it's not as wowing as maybe you would expect, right? Like I said, I think it's a little bit of like, hey, this is a guy that's got all the traits, right? He's smart, he's freaky athletic, and you have limited plays where you see him put it all together and work the right way. But these are the guys, again, where you go, man, we've seen guys like this in the past where we've gone, the same thing, and then they get in the NFL and the game's simplified and they get taught a few things, and all of a sudden they just explode as a human wrecking ball.
So is there a little more projection with this?
There definitely is.
Ranking?
Definitely a little bit more projection, I think, with this. Knowing what works, right? And then a little bit of like, hey, I've seen these kind of guys. They usually thrive, and he's got all the things I would like to believe that is going to take him to the next level, right? And I think that's the biggest thing, right? Like I'll say, the guy we're going to talk about at number 2, I'm not so sure isn't the better player right now this second, okay? But I don't know if I necessarily agree that I think he's going to be the best pro and made to be a sack artist off the edge and a guy who can get 15 sacks a year. So that's the big thing. And before we get to him, all right, just
one more thing.
You
could tell you almost made your own transition, and then you regretted it. Wait, what am I doing?
Right, like I said, he's raw. He's an awesome player. He is gritty and tough and does that. The Michigan game, that's not the game he's looking to play in, right? That's, again, where he's going to be more fit for the NFL. Oh, Mahomes is dropping back. Mahomes is going to hold the ball for 4 seconds because he's going to do that. Josh Allen is going to hold it. You're going to get a real chance to work around the edge and do that, right? You're not drafting him to go, hey, we think he could stop the run on 2nd and 6. We're going to take him at number 8 because he can stop the run. That's why we're doing it. No. Yeah. If Atlanta takes him at 8, they're going to be like, we want him because we got to get people to get after Baker Mayfield and Derek Carr and Bryce Young, and we got to get after him on the edge, right?
And he said that in your interview with him. He goes, the one player I want to tackle is Bryce Young. Never got to do it in practice. And if he goes to Atlanta, he'll get to do that a couple times a year, perhaps.
I think this is a Von Miller, Micah Parsons.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brian Burns.
Not right now, but.
Right. Type of player we're talking about. Hassan Reddick. Right. Where I just go, it's going to get unlocked. And I'm too impressed with the traits. Even though, listen, again, I know it hasn't always been all put together and we're just like, wow, oh my gosh, right? College game is a little different. What he was asked to do a little different. He is a little raw, but I like that. He's young, he's moldable, and the pure freakish ability is there to be had. Yo, homies, what's up? I know it's the off season, but it's never the off season on Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Me and Ahmed Fareed are going to be here for it all. We got free agency. We're going to break it all down. The draft, the rankings of positions. Of course, we're going to unpack it all. Hit subscribe, get to my free agency reactions, 2024 draft rankings, and more. Thanks again for watching. Peace out, homies. See you soon.